Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we are going to be checking out the Masters of the Universe new Eternia He-Man from the Masterverse series. Now, when these were announced, they really piqued my interest. First of all, these are the first figures here. This new Eternia kind of subset is the first time we've really branched away from the Revelation figures in the Masterverse line, which brings this back around to the Masterverse line being an all-encompassing line for He-Man. It doesn't just have to be things from Revelation, it could be things from anything MOTU, but done in the same form factor. So these new Eternia figures are essentially concept figures. These are brand new creations, but the looks that they're using have roots in the history of Masters of the Universe. So this is sort of a new artist interpretation of He-Man, but it is definitely based on some of the early He-Man artwork. So pretty cool stuff. I'm excited to take a closer look at this one. Rotating around to the side of the box there, you can see some beautiful artwork with sort of this version of He-Man with the Viking helmet and more of like a standard He-Man in the background there. I think that looks really, really cool. And then rotating around to the backside, we've got this very barbarian style He-Man going into battle against all sorts of crazy creatures there. So really exciting stuff. I'm very, very intrigued by the new Eternia concept. So let's go ahead and get this brand new He-Man opened up and we will get a closer look at him. All right, so we've got our brand new Eternia He-Man outside of the packaging. If I bring in the tape measure, you can see that he stands pretty much right at 7 inches tall, though the helmet and the horns there do push him just a little bit above that. And I want to go ahead and start by bringing in our Masterverse Revelation He-Man, because I want to compare the bodies. It does indeed look like we are still utilizing that same basic body there. The torso, the arms, the legs, those do appear to be shared between the two figures, though a lot of the rest of it is new. Like, for example, the arm guards are different. The belts are different. So we've got a lot of new stuff going on here as well. He's just utilizing that same body. So I mentioned at the very beginning that this is sort of like a new figure, but it's definitely inspired by some of the classic concept art for He-Man. And very early on, He-Man was going to wear a Viking-style helmet like this. Some of the earliest artwork, like Mark Taylor's version of He-Man that eventually went on to be known as Vicor, as well as his original B-sheet for the action figure, both sport that Viking helmet, and the original Tony Guerrero sculpt for the figure that eventually became the 1982 He-Man also first had that helmet on there. So this right here is definitely a direct nod to that earliest concept art for He-Man, though it is a brand new overall look. So it doesn't relate one-to-one with those early concept art pieces, but I think it's very close to what we almost got as seen in Mark Taylor's original B-sheet there. It's very, very similar to that. So the harness underneath the shoulder pad still looks very similar. It's not quite an Iron Cross. It's like a different look for it. But, you know, we got these gold shoulder pads up here. Now, these just kind of slide right onto the armor. So we should be able to remove those. And we're going to do that here in just a bit. We've got this gold belt. And like I showed you, the arm guard here, which do have some new deco on there. And then instead of the furry loincloth, he's got more of like a leather piece that's hanging down. One thing I want to point out with this real quick is because of the way this figure was positioned in the box, his legs were bent up like this. So after pulling him out and straightening his legs, unfortunately that left his loincloth warped. You can see it's bent way outwards. Now, you can always fix this probably by heating it up, you know, kind of bending it back into place, but that does still bug me when things are positioned a certain way in a package and it kind of ruins the figure right out of the box. Luckily, like I said, should be an easy fix. He's also got these new boots here, which are extra furry. I mean, look at how wrapped up the feet look on this. But one of the things I really love is over here on the right boot, you can see he's got a little sheath that the straps are going over, which does have a removable dagger. The knife boot returns, my friends. This is something that appeared on some of those early sketches for He-Man that never came out with the original action figure. So I love seeing the addition of the boot knife. Very, very cool stuff. Now, the helmet itself, I actually really do like. You can see it's silver, and I don't know if it's coming across, but it's got a bit of like a glittery look to it. Like it is metallic and shiny. The way the lights hit it, it really kind of reflects off that glittery tone. Again, I'm not sure if that's really coming across in the video, but in person, it looks pretty cool. And then the horns have much more of a flat bone color to them. We've got like painted gems on the front, blue and red there. And you can actually see his hair kind of sticking out of the back of the helmet. So he still has the blonde hair kind of sticking out of the back. It's really cool. And I actually like the face sculpt on this quite a bit. I think he looks really neat with that helmet on. Now, if you are somebody who decides that your He-Man doesn't wear a Viking helmet, the other good news is that a standard He-Man head is also included. You can easily pop that first head off the ball joint. You can add the second He-Man head on there, and now we've got a much more basic looking He-Man. Now, this is a brand new head sculpt as well, and you know, I gotta be honest, when they were showing some of the early promo photos, I didn't really like this head, probably because it looked a little cross-eyed in that original promo photography. Thankfully, this one is not cross-eyed. In fact, I think the face looks pretty good on here. It's the hair that I don't completely love. It's not bad per se, but the way it kind of like really lays over on the right side of his head there, I don't know, something about it looks a little soccer mom-ish. But like I said, it's not that bad. It's actually, we've actually seen worse. I don't know, He-Man's likeness seems to be very hard to capture because we have a very distinct thought in our brains of how He-Man should look, so it's hard sometimes to get him. This isn't so bad. I actually like this quite a bit. In fact, I want to bring back over our Revelation He-Man, because one of the things I really didn't like about that figure is the head sculpt. It's not really true to the animation, and he looks kind of weird and happy, and so one of the things I immediately wanted to try was taking this new head and putting it on that Revelation He-Man body, just to see what that would look like, and that actually looks pretty cool. Now, the skin tone is slightly different. Not a lot, but you can see that there is a difference, a slight difference in the skin tone. It's almost not noticeable, but you can see it if you know what you're looking for. But that does actually look better, I think, than the head that came on the Revelation He-Man figure. So it's another option for giving you a more standard looking He-Man action figure if that's something that you're going for. So I also pointed out that those shoulder pads are removable. So if you just undo the straps on the back of this new Eternia He-Man body, the shoulder straps just slide right off of those straps there. So here, we're going to pull that off as well. I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to reattach the armor here. So then with those shoulder straps removed, we can go ahead and take that standard He-Man head, pop it back on the body, and again, we have a much more basic looking He-Man action figure as a display option with this figure. I like quite a bit that this has got so many options for display here. So you can do Viking helmets, you can do no helmets, you can do shoulder pads on, shoulder pads off, you can mix and match those however you see fit. And then of course he does also have some interchangeable hands as well. You might notice right now I've got him with a gripping hand on the left and a punching hand on the right. He also does have a gripping hand for the right, and then he's got the open hand for the left. So you can mix and match those pieces as well for different ways of display. All right, so if this is your first time checking out a Masterverse figure, we should run down the articulation on these guys. As I showed you with the removable head, that is on a ball joint. So that does allow the head to look left and right, kind of roll all the way around. Obviously, it doesn't look up too high there. We've got the ball-like joints at the shoulders, so the arms can go up, forwards, backwards. The shoulder pads do not hinder that at all. You can see the shoulder pads even kind of move with the arms as needed. You've got a swivel at the bicep. You've got double joints at the elbows. You can see that this arm guard also kind of swivels around loosely there. Then we've got swivels at the wrist and hinges at the wrist. And of course, those are also on the pegs as I showed you. You do have a ball joint at the torso, so it can roll all the way around at the midsection, and then the waist can swivel left and right. The legs are also on the ball and socket joint, so they can go outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the thigh. You do have double joints at the knees, which are nice and tight there. You've got swivels at the boot cut, and then the feet can move forwards and backwards at the ankle, as well as rock side to side. So pretty good range of articulation on these guys. The joints do feel pretty good. They all hold. He stands really well. Nothing seems loose on this particular figure. So that is all pretty nice. Now, accessory time. He does have a couple of weapons, of course, that are all worth talking about. So I already talked about the removable knife in his boot. Of course, that counts as one of his weapons. He also does come with a power sword, and this is a brand new one. I actually really love the excess wrapping on the handle there. I think that looks really, really nice. And the plastic that's used for this, that it's molded in, is that same kind of glittery silver plastic that we see on his helmet there. It looks really, really nice. In fact, let me go ahead and bring in the power sword from Revelation over here so you can see these two side by side and see exactly how they differ. So it's pretty cool that we've got a brand new one, and it does have a very classic look to it. I rather like this power sword. Now, of course, that could be held in either one of his hands. He also has the nice little place on his back that he can sheath the sword when he's not using it, because he also comes with a battle axe. And if this is a concept style He-Man, well, he's got to have that axe. I actually really like this axe because it looks a lot like the vintage axe that came with the original action figures, but they've added a lot of wear and tear on the blade, so you can see the little chunks missing and the little creases there. This one doesn't have any extra paint. It's just molded in that same glittery silver plastic, but I actually really love the sculpt of this thing just because it really does look like it belongs with the original He-Man action figure, so it fits this one perfectly. The battle axe is definitely my preferred way to pose this guy. I think he looks awesome. So lots of weaponry there for a pretty fun looking action figure. All right, guys, it's comparison time. We've already shown him alongside Masterverse He-Man. I think it would be fun to show him alongside Vicor. Now, the Vicor figure from the Masters of the Universe Classics line was straight up interpreted from Mark Taylor's concept art. So that is an actual concept figure standing alongside this new one, which just pays homage to some of the early concept stuff. But this now makes the second official He-Man figure we've received with a Viking helmet. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the brand new Eternia He-Man from the Masterverse line. All in all, I really like this figure. In fact, I am quite impressed with it. I've always talked about in the past that I love it when they do concept stuff and kind of make them reality, but I also love it when they do new things and they're not just releasing the same things over and over again, and somehow this figure manages to do both of those things. It's kind of homaging something from the concepts, something old, but also bringing something new to the table. And even though this is a line that's already filled with He-Man variations, I think this one stands out. I think it's a really fun action figure. I love the new Eternia concept. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see what else they do with it. So this particular figure is beginning to trickle into stores right now. I actually ordered mine from BigBadToyStore.com, so I will link to it in the video description. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and until next time.